Oh, I'm going live and I wasn't ready fully. Yes. Hello. Hello, everybody. How's it going? Welcome to the live stream. Am I live streaming? Is this real? Is this happening? Can anyone hear me? Anyone see me? Hi. How's it going? How's your day? Tell me about it. Sorry, I'm in a singing mood today. I don't know when that happened. Thank you for loving my outfit. This is my signature hat. Cool. Cool. I feel like my lag is really bad today. I'm sorry. Sorry, everyone. I'm going to read you a story today here on Story Time live stream. Does anybody have any, tell me how your day's going? Regional fun facts. Tell me about a fan fiction you read recently. Tell me about something you're excited about. I put my hair in a ponytail yesterday. That's how long it is. And now, oh man, and now we're in a hat. And that's where we're at. Ooh, we've got some Animal Crossing happening. I hope your turnip prices are good. I don't know anything about Animal Crossing. I played it when I was little. Well, not little. I played it when I was a teen. And I know that you shake trees and wear outfits. That's basically all I can remember. I read a Blaze/Ron/Neville fan fiction. Was it good? Did you send it to me? Do I ever wake up and get freaked out by the figure on the top of my shelf? That's a great question. I don't. Not really. But I'll go get it. Here's the thing. You can't tell in the thing, but this is fucking huge. Look at this thing. It's giant. It's like the size of my whole torso. It's very big. Harry. What else are we up to today? Listening to Wayward Son and talking about Carry On. Oh, yeah, we had book club this morning on Discord. We read Carry On as a sort of a palate cleanser. Get away from HP canon for a hot sec. My best friend wants me to write a Harry/Cedric fanfic. Yes, please do that. That's great, Chip. That's a great ship. Wow. Yeah, I mean, no one is near Greg levels of huge, though. Greg's sole ambition is to become as big as the sun, so I think it'd be really hard to compete with that, honestly. Oh, well. Well, yeah, we read Carry On for book club in Discord, in Patreon, Discord. And we had book club this morning. We're gonna movie watch later. Our episode comes out tomorrow. There's an episode coming out tomorrow. Y'all, folks, there's an episode coming out tomorrow. It's got a fucking ad read in it, you guys. We're all grown up. Have I had lots of submissions for the writing competition yet? No, I think only like 3. But I did a bad for the writing competition that we're doing in Patreon. I did a bad, and I didn't put a word limit on it, which I thought was a nice thing to do and is apparently rude. So We'll see. A fan fiction about Snape taking cough drops. That was the whole fan fiction. How long was the fan fiction? Was it a drabble? Did he like the cough drops? I need to know more. Thank you for feeling like a proud parent. We having an ad read is, I had to do some severe editing on it because TBH, we did a bad job. And then I had to like really hack that up and place it together in such a way that was good and made sense. Yikes. I don't know. Okay. Well, I mean, it's 1:06, so it's about that time. We've shot the shit for a little bit. And so I'm going to read a fan fiction now. I will email everybody who sent in their writing competition submissions for the person over here in the chat, just so we can double check. We'll make sure that we got everybody's. Oh, the fan fiction was only 50 words? That's fucking incredible. Whew, okay. Whoop-a-doop-a-whoop-a-doop-a-doo. Let's do it. It's time for some fan fiction. This was written by one of our listeners, Izzy Lou. So, of course, as per usual, as per always, over here in the chat, be nice to your fellow Fanatical Fam member as we read this story. I'm excited. Let's go. That was a joke, and then it wasn't a joke anymore. Okay. I haven't really talked yet today. I think I did this last time too, so I sound like gross. But here we go. Anyway, this is by Izzy Lou. It's called To Catch a Pureblood. Pansy sniffed into her silk handkerchief in an optically pleasing ladylike fashion, with an acoustically displeasing elephant-like sound. Hearing that sound escape her person only resulted in worsening her sniffling, finally resulting in an all-out breakdown, which led Madame Pomfrey's decision to subdue the girl with a sleeping spell. This also gave her the chance to pry the hanky from the girl's face to assess the damage done by her ill-advised spell. A nose roughly the same size as Hagrid's, well, she'd seen worse. She shook her head over the sleeping teenaged witch and contacted Professors Flitwick and McGonagall for help reversing this facial mishap. A single tear slid from the closed eyes of the girl in question, and Madame Pomfrey once again was left wondering what led teenage witches to resort to such drastic measures. Ever since the day Pansy had heard from her father that the Triwizard Tournament was going to be held at Hogwarts that year, and, more importantly, that it would include a traditional Yule Ball, she had adhered to her revised plans to catch Draco Malfoy's eye before that day. That only meant an amplification of her already ongoing efforts, considering she had first made plans to marry him the very day they had first met, at age 9. Since starting at Hogwarts, she had already had to step up her game, considering that there were a lot of other girls there, and Draco was quite obviously sublime husband material, subjectively speaking. Add a pureblood with the richest family, the oldest name. Add that to his supremely confident attitude and perfectly groomed aristocratic looks. All in all, very marryable. and now was the perfect time to catch that supreme pureblood, as her mother intended to remind her every single letter, before someone else realized their mistake in not courting him already. He already knows you are of pure blood and an influential family. All you need to do is turn his head and catch his eye as a potential wife. With determination and technique, a girl can get any man to marry her. Mark my words, was her mother's advice, shortly before sending her to a Swiss finishing school for witches, the same one Narcissa Malfoy had attended at her age. Only the best for my princess, her father had claimed before sending her off for 6 weeks to gain the refinement and poise and demeanor of a true lady. It had been an enlightening course, Pansy reflected, and she now took great care to impress her future husband with all her refined poise. However, after several weeks went by without any reason positive reactions by her intended, she compared her meticulous statistics detailing smiles in her direction, events involving eye contact over 3 seconds, and interactions initiated by him, those of previous years. She had angrily owled the Swiss institution with her complaints. The letter included a 7-foot roll of parchment lamenting the lack of improvement upon previous year's scores, despite adhering to all the rules, and detailing all interactions of the past 2 weeks with a plea for exact analysis of possible further refinement of her husband attracting skills. Unsurprisingly, she received no reply, which led her to being found in this unfortunate predicament, lying unconscious in the hospital wing, with 3 adults standing over her, shaking their heads in exasperation, trying to return her nose to its normal shape and size. After waking up with a successfully shrunken nose, she succumbed to another round of sniffles, this time producing the intended refined ladylike sound, and explained to Madame Pomfrey that she had only intended to slightly improve upon the shape of her nose, which she had heard described as distinctly pug-like, to turn the head and catch the eye of a certain young wizard. It was, after all, the only imperfection she had discovered in her plans upon meticulous analysis. The matron left her to collect herself and headed for her office to complete the paperwork on the incident. Once Pansy was alone, she carefully checked her reflection in her pocket mirror. It wouldn't do to be seen in a state of disarray by a particular someone. You know, you really shouldn't change your nose. It's quite lovely the way that it is. A dreamy voice came from the bed right beside her. Pansy turned around with a surprised squeal, a sound not approved of by the mistress of her illustrious finishing school, to glare at the blonde girl in Ravenclaw robes, who had pushed aside the partition and was looking at her unblinkingly. "What's it to you, Ravenclaw?" she asked imperiously, systematically appraising her and mentally categorizing every flaw and infraction against the rules of ladylike behavior committed by this strange girl. "It's Luna," the breaker of at least 27 rules said. Make that 28, Pansy thought. A lady never speaks out of turn. "What's lunar?" she asked despite herself. Her mother would not approve of her interaction with such an unrefined person. "Not lunar, silly. Luna. My name is Luna." Okay, Pansy corrected herself. 29. Not 29. One did not call a lady of obviously higher social standing silly to her face. Everyone knew that for Merlin's sake. And you're Pansy Parkinson. Did you change your nose to surprise Draco Malfoy, too? The strange person continued. That comment stopped Pansy cold in her tracks. Why would she ask that? Did she see herself as Pansy's competition? Was she after Draco as well? Obviously, she wouldn't stand a chance, but still. Lovegood was a pure-blood name after all. And an important or respectable one, but she was a pure-blood female and as such not completely dismissible as... You know it's rude to stare, don't you? The irritating girl interrupted her thoughts. She's one to talk, Pansy fumed internally. You don't know what you're talking about, Lovegood. Now, leave, she said in her most demanding voice. The younger girl just shook her head. Not without my pinky finger. It still has to regrow, you know. I seem to have... Well, regrow your finger silently, Pansy snapped, and left the room with a well-practiced toss of her hair. She would have to keep an eye on that one, just in case she was after her man, she decided. You could never be too careful around a determined Ravenclaw. Over the next 5 days, Draco looked at Pansy 13 times, and in the 34 hours she managed to spend in his company. Twice for over 3 seconds, and he initiated contact once when demanding her to bring him another pillow, as his armchair was not quite comfortable enough. That meant an average of 0.38 looks per hour. An abysmal performance, considering her average was 1.01 last week and 0.84 since the start of term. In comparison to the horrible Lovegood girl who had obtained 5 looks in less than 7 minutes of direct contact in the halls between classes, all of them over 3 seconds, and Draco had initiated contact every single one of those occasions. Granted, that contact consisted purely of one-sided ridicule and insults, but still, the numbers did not lie. Lovegood had achieved an alarming 42.9 looks per hour. That simply wouldn't do. Rule number 1 was to turn his head and catch his eye, and she would not lose to such an inferior woman. She flipped her hair in determination, the movement catching Draco's eye from across the common room table, though for less than 2 seconds. At least that brought her average up to 0.41 looks per hour. Still, she had to get to the core of Lovegood's high score if she ever wanted to achieve her goal. So, the next day, she cornered Lovegood in the girls' lavatory, shooting a privacy spell at the door to prevent being overheard talking to that. Lovegood, however, seemed completely unfazed by her unusual behavior and smiled serenely at her in the mirror. It's lovely to see you, Pansy, she spoke at her reflection. Are you hiding in here from the Raxburts as well? Pansy opened her mouth to reply with a scathing, yet confused, comment, but she reminded herself to stay on task. Do yourself a favor and stop trying to get him. He's mine, she stated, staring down at the strange girl in the mirror in turn, who cocked her head to the side pensively and finally turned around to face her, as any civilized person would have done at the start of this conversation. Once again, those pale eyes looked at her unblinkingly, and Pansy felt her stomach clench. Ravenclaws were supposed to be smart, and even a Griffin dork would have caught her meaning by now. But this was a cause she was willing to elaborate for. Draco, Pansy enunciated. Whatever you're trying to achieve with him, just give up. The girl continued to stare, her eyes crinkling in a smile, and a small giggle escaped her lips. Despite herself, Pansy had to concede that said giggle did conform to the rules concerning the ladylike expressions of mirth, though it was uncalled for in this situation. I really have no interest in him, dear, she giggled. How dare she? Pet names and terms of endearment were not an appropriate form of address to someone of her station. That word was falling from her lips of the entire for that word was falling from the lips of the entirely wrong, pale blonde, blue-eyed pureblood. Then how is it you can catch his eye so easily? Pansy had not meant to say that out loud. Lovegood had distracted her with the inappropriate social behavior. Sorry, those are my dogs. She scowled and whipped out her wand, pressing it to the girl's neck. A word of this to anyone, and I will see your reputation destroyed. Wait, it already is. I will turn you into a laughing stock. No, that doesn't work either. You'll regret it, okay? Pansy fumed, leaving before she could sink to the level of that plebeian shame upon pureblood society. That had not gone to plan. Pansy, Luna called after her. I would never try to go after a friend's crush, you know. That would be against the girl code. And she brushed past her with another serene smile. The nerve of that girl. They were not friends. Never in 1,000 years would she be seen associating with that person. Never, ever. Fuming, she ran after her, only catching herself in the action after several hurried steps and scolding herself for the undignified movement. Lovegood, she hissed once she had caught up to her. We are not friends. We would never be friends in a million years. You are ridiculous and uncivilized. Just look at all that, she said with a wave encompassing all that was wrong with what she was seeing. Despite wearing the same robes as every other student, Lovegood stuck out like a sore thumb. With her ridiculous homemade jewelry and her unfashionable hairstyle, you turn heads everywhere you go. I mean, everyone is staring at you and Pansy froze in her tracks. She hastily grabbed Lovegood by the arm and pulled her into an unused classroom just around the corner. She got the previously entangled couple that was already occupying the space to leave with a single scathing look. What was Blaze thinking consorting with McLagan anyways? She could do so much better than that Griffin dork. And she turned to face Lovegood once more. For once, the girl seemed startled out of her irritating serenity, looking questioningly at Pansy's hand still clutched around her forearm. Pansy let go as if suddenly burned by the physical contact. You turn everyone's head. You catch everyone's eye. How do you do it? And more importantly, how can I do it without looking like a lunatic or like you? She slowly trailed off. Maybe Lovegood hadn't been the right person to ask after all? That realization was confirmed when the blonde once again gave a soft giggle. You know, I already look like me. It's better if you look like yourself. Otherwise, people might get confused. And I would miss your nose in the Great Hall. What? What? You... I would never... How dare you My nose? You. Pansy spluttered. She spluttered. That horribly irritating Ravenclaw had gotten her to splutter, a faux pas she hadn't allowed herself since the age of 11. And now Pansy was blushing in a non intentional way, simply blushing. She had to get a hold of herself. Why had she ever thought to approach such a disruptive, uncultured, irritatingly positive, constantly smiling, unconventionally somewhat pretty, if she were being honest, but entirely inappropriately behaved person? And why was she getting flustered in her presence? It must be the pale hair and the blue eyes, she reasoned with herself. She must have simply been reminded of Draco for a moment. After all, he was the man she intended to marry. And if Draco ever smiled that openly, his eyes would surely light up in the same way, and his lips would surely be just as beautifully curved and soft and warm and moving in perfect synchronization with hers, tasting slightly of cherry blossom and, oh no, was she kissing her? Pansy tore open her eyes, breaking the kiss in one motion and leaving the room in the next before Luna could even blink. Not that she would have, of course. Once outside the classroom, she leaned against the door in pure, horrified mortification. Had Lovegood confounded her? Had she hexed her, bewitched her, enthralled her with a curse in her beautiful blonde hair, which had felt so soft under her fingers? When asked in a letter from her mother with whom she would be attending the Yule Ball after its announcement 2 weeks later, she simply replied with, "A certain pale, blonde pureblood, of course." Upon which a reply came in a package with a beautiful silver dress. So her intended will be sufficiently impressed. Pansy smiled. She was sure Luna would be. The end. Yay! It's Luna slash Pansy. What's that? What is that? That story is a lot of fun. There's statistics and lists. Yeah, that story's very good. Very good. I love the characterization of Pansy in that story. That's not one I've seen before. And I read this and I was like, this is just a pure delight of a story. And I had to read it to you all today because I wanted to share it with you. Thank you so much to Izzy Lou for writing that and for sending it in to us to be read here on Storytime. And that's all, folks. If you want to write something for Storytime, we're looking for something 5,000 words or less. We're looking for wholesome or funny. Banging on something upstairs. We're looking for wholesome or funny. And you can email that in to fanaticalfics@gmail.com. Hypothetically, if I can get someone else to do this next weekend, then maybe the dogs won't bark in the middle of it. Or maybe I'll get Kim to do it and Kim's dogs will bark in the middle of it. Or maybe I'll get Colin to do it and Colin's new kitten, Gary, will make an appearance. Gary's very cute. Okay, well, goodbye, everyone. Have a great rest of your Sunday. Unless it's not Sunday where you are. If it's not, it's probably you're probably not here. It's probably in the middle of the morning or whatever. Someday I'll show you the dogs. They're little shits. They're not mine. They're my roommates, but they're basically mine. They're basically mine. Honestly, that's the best compliment I've ever had. This is an Amy Sherman Palladino hat. You know, Amy Sherman Palladino. All right. Okay. I'm actually going to go now. But thanks for coming, and we'll see you next weekend at some point. Keep an eye on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram for that announcement. And also, an episode comes out tomorrow. Yay! Okay. Goodbye. 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 Bye.